Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are discussing the 3 forgotten weapons of TF2. The red-headed stepchildren who were accidentally left off the inheritance list. The black sheep. I don't know, got any more overused metaphors? TF2 has a ton of guns, and it isn't surprising that a few of them just kind of fly under the radar for a lot of people. I mean, when you have glory hogs like the Force of Nature and Panic Attack flexing their muscles and pelvic thrusting all over the place, it's a little hard to notice that those aren't the only 2 guns in existence. So let's break that tradition today by starting with the gun from Team Fortress 1. This thing is weird. It looks weird. It sounds weird. The stats are weird. I mean, okay. Sniper rifle. You click the left mouse button and the gun shoots. You scope in and a charge meter builds up, increasing how much damage your shot will do. Got it. But then this thing, you scope in, but the charge meter stays empty. You have to hold down the mouse button to build charge and then release it to fire. So it's kind of like a rifle version of the Huntsman, but it charges more slowly, does less damage on a body shot, and also cannot headshot, like at all, until you are fully charged. Unlike the other 2, it's easy to see why the classic is kind of under-discussed in the TF2 sphere. It's hard to get a grip on, and even when you understand it, it's just not as good as literally any other sniper primary. The big upside with this rifle is that you can charge and headshot without zooming in, giving you the power to see the entire battlefield while powering up your next shot. This massively increases your awareness of your surroundings and reduces tunnel vision the same way the Huntsman does, but it has a much longer range in its hit scan. I'm not going to come out and say the classic is really good and everyone should use it, you guys, but man, if you can get into a rhythm with this thing, it's one of the most satisfying things in the universe. Most of Soldier's secondary weapons are utility-based. You have the banners to provide damage, speed, and defense respectively. You have the gunboats, man-treads, and parachute, all of which increase the flexibility of rocket jumping in their own way. But then we get down to the ones that actually deal damage. One is too weak, one is way too strong, and that kind of sucks up all the discussion, leaving one in the middle. The reserve shooter. I like this weapon a lot. I see it as a really well balanced secondary that plays to Soldier's strengths and works well in a specific yet common situation without totally dominating the other side grades to the point where you may as well not use anything else. The magazine count is reduced by 2, it deploys 20% faster, and it deals mini crits to people launched skyward by explosives. Soldier is already really good at knocking enemies around with his rockets. All this does is give him a fast, effective way to finish off the recently launched foes before they can even hit the ground. Popping someone into the air with a rocket and then whipping this thing out to kill them before they land is really fun, and it can save your bacon as well if you aren't an air shot king. Not to mention, blast jumping soldiers and demos will also take mini crits from the reserve shooter, so it's a great way to shut down that one guy that always uses the sticky jumper to get to red spawn on Badwater to kill the teleporter entrances. So why isn't this thing talked about more? Because everyone who wants a shotgun equips the Panic Attack, because the Panic Attack does the reserve shooter's job 10 times better and can be equipped on Heavy and Engineer as well as Soldier and Pyro. Not to mention the reserve shooter got nerfed so that air blasted foes no longer take mini crits from the reserve shooter, which makes me wonder why the Pyro can still equip it, because he can't take advantage of its primary upside anymore. And all this does is discourage soldiers from shooting at enemies a friendly Pyro is just air blasted. I don't get it. It's part of an item set for Soldier. Why can Pyro equip it? Just take it off Pyro and give it back the ability to mini crit air blast at enemies. Just whatever. Some people had a problem with my video about the Panic Attack where I stated that it was too strong. So I'm going to take this opportunity to double down. It is absolutely too strong, and if the reserve shooter needed a nerf, this thing deserves one as well. The Panic Attack is dominant right now since it does more damage faster than stock without a clip size penalty. It's better than the family business, the frontier justice, and the reserve shooter. It outshines every other shotgun side grade in the game in terms of versatility and raw power. And you expect me to believe it's balanced just because it's bad at long range, like all the shotguns are? Oh, I could chip damage less effectively? Big deal! It does a shotgun's job better than any other at all relevant ranges, and it only just starts to become worse at longer ranges where you shouldn't be using shotguns anyway. In fact, you could argue the panic attack is more effective at chip damage since it sends pellets over a wider area in a fixed predictable pattern, making it easier to land shots outside its intended effective distance. Tell me, how is it a side grade if it just does the same thing as stock but better? What situations would the panic attack perform worse in than any other shotgun, and how often do those situations even come up? I can't think of any scenario in which the panic attack outright is worse than the stock shotgun. It's just a straight upgrade. What was I talking about? Oh right, the reserve shooter. Yeah, I had to bring up the panic attack because a large part of why the reserve shooter gets forgotten is because soldiers can equip the panic attack, which is nearly always better. So the situational upside of the reserve shooter is less relevant. I, for one, think that popping people into the sky and comboing them into the dirt with this little thing is way cooler and flashier than just deleting them from existence with 2 shells from this thing. It also has a reasonable downside that prevent it from being a straight upgrade. It only has 4 shells, and the faster deploy speed doesn't just do all the work for you, it still takes good timing to make use of. Honestly, give it a go. You'll be pleasantly surprised, I think. This section is going to be a lot shorter than the other two, I just don't have as much to say. The Soda Popper's good. It's got similar DPS to the Force of Nature, but with 0 added knockback and a faster reload, it sustains really well, and outshines the Force of Nature in prolonged fights. Also, the 5 extra jumps you can do with this thing are really strong. Especially with the wingers, so many people just spam their jumps constantly, but just look at how far you can go with patient, slow jumps. You are a bird. Literally. Again, I don't see people talking about this too much, or if they do, they just bring up the DPS potential without ever mentioning the hype meter. It used to charge just by running, which I miss a lot, but I totally understand why it was changed. I could also swear the Natasha used to have 300 bullets in it. I'm so sure I'm not imagining this. Yep, I just checked, it's real. The Natasha used to have 300 bullets back in 2014, but after gunmetal it got nerfed. Oh, I'm so glad I'm not making that up. Wait a minute, what was I talking about? I swear, this happens every time. I just get sidetracked and things stop making sense, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe